Hey everybody!
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back to the Crime Time podcast.
Yes, I'm so
Yes.
excited.
Okay, we're in for a very interesting episode. Today it's unlike any other episode because we're not talking about one crime. We're talking about a whole government operation.
Whoa.
Okay, so this is about MK Ultra. And you might have heard of it before, maybe from Stranger Things. Maybe.
It sounds like a supervillain name.
Yeah, kind of. Have you guys heard of MK Ultra before?
No.
No.
I haven't.
You haven't? You've never even heard of the name?
I watched Stranger Things, but I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Oh,
Yeah, me
okay.
neither.
Oh, not even the name or anything?
No,
Just
besides
from
you
you.
talking about it.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, this is going to be interesting for you then. Okay, so what is MK Ultra?
I don't know. Why don't you tell us?
Yes. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so it was a secret program by the CIA to master the science of mind control. Okay.
That's scary, first
Yes.
of all.
They wanted to use it like on enemies, on like, I don't know, like for torture, you know, stuff like that. So yeah. So, and it was also known as the CIA Mind Control Program. And it was approved by the CIA director, Alan Dulles. So he's like the whole cause of this. Okay. So it was designed to develop methods of interrogation and torture. They wanted to force confessions through mind control. They also studied the effects of LSD, and their goal was to create a truth serum. So yeah, this was like during like it lasted from 1953 to 1973. So this was when like LSD was becoming like popular, you know, in like the hippie era, whatever. And
That's kind of creepy.
yeah, and then so the MK Ultra didn't become public knowledge until 1975. Most of the experiments took place in hospitals, universities, and prisons, and most participants never gave consent. So it was like very unethical.
Yikes.
No
Yep.
stuff.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the methods. So they used hypnosis, verbal and sexual abuse, sensory deprivation, and LSD to attempt to control the subject's mind.
Oh my god, what the hell? That's horrible.
Yeah, and all of this often without consent from the subjects.
Why would anybody consent to that in the first place?
Money. Yeah, so then there was at least 80 universities and 185 private researchers participated. So this is like a really wide scale. And it was conducted on US citizens. And then the whole controversy was many experiments involved deception, a lack of informed consent, and both physical and psychological harm inflicted on the subjects. And so right here I have this picture, and then for people who can't see, it's of this girl who's like tied up, and it says she underwent 6 months of treatment using heavy doses of LSD, electroshock, and sensory deprivation. Subject's memory was erased, and her brain is that of a newborn baby.
Oh my god.
What?
How old is she?
Oh my god.
I don't know how old she is, but she looks young, like maybe 8 or something.
That's
But yeah,
horrible.
so that's how extreme they went with this. All to find a truth serum. And can you guess if they were successful or not?
I'm gonna go with
They
no,
weren't.
considering I don't have one.
Yeah, they were not successful with this, so they basically did it all for nothing. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so then the huge part of MK Ultra is LSD, which is a drug. I don't know if you heard of it. and it stands for lysergic acid diethylamide. It was first synthesized in 1938, and it is a hallucinogen. So it causes visual and audio distortion. It can cause anxiety and depression, increase heart rate, body temperature, and blood pressure. It also affects the serotonin receptors. And so it was first used as a threat in interrogation in CIA's Operation Artichoke. So the goal of this operation was to determine whether a person could be involuntarily made to perform an act of attempted assassination.
So LSD was used back then as a threat, and now, well, it's not really a threat anymore, is it?
Well, no, it was also used like recreationally, to like trip or whatever. but the government was seeing if they could use it like to, I don't know, to mind control people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
This is getting really interesting and really messed up.
Yeah.
So, do you guys all know what LSD is?
You just
Yep.
said
Yes.
something.
Yes.
Die
okay.
something.
Yes. Yeah, so it's pretty, I don't know how the government thought they could use it in this way, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't think of anything that you would use LSD for mind control. Like, how
Yeah.
would that even work? You
Maybe
don't.
it can.
Sorry.
Maybe it like messes. I don't know how it works either, but like, doesn't if you take it too often, it probably like messes it with your brain, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe it can make you more like willing to do things you wouldn't normally do, like with alcohol, But yeah. Okay. But I don't think it can like be a truth serum. Like anything people ask you, you're gonna tell the truth. You're probably just gonna say like really weird things that's like incomprehensible.
Yeah, like
But
if your
yeah.
mind's not working properly, if like, then how would you even know the truth?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why they did all this just to see. But okay. Okay, so then where this gets like a little like even more creepy, the roots of MK Ultra was found in Nazi Germany. So there were former Nazi scientists. They informed U.S. intelligence of mescaline, which is a drug that was used as a truth serum at Dachau Holocaust camp, and the experiments failed with it. And the information given, like by the subjects under the truth serum, was often unreliable. And so, the MK Ultra started during the Cold War, and they wanted to see if they could use this truth drug on Soviet spies. And so, like, basically, what happened with this, like, the U.S. like brought over these Nazi scientists and tried to get them to help them to do this and give them all their information. And they tried to hide the fact that they were like Nazis so that they could come work for them, because it was illegal. It was illegal for like the like criminals from the Nazis to come over and work for the government. So they tried to like hide everything that they did. So yeah, pretty creepy.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, this is already so messed up.
Yeah. Okay, so then when it was like finally released to the public, it happened in 1974. Seymour Hersh, a New York Times journalist, released the story of the CIA directing experiments with drugs on American and Canadian citizens without consent. And then in 1975, the president at the time, Gerald Ford, set up the United States President's Committee on CIA Activities to investigate Project MKUltra and other activities of the CIA. And then the investigation. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I say, like, what's really crazy is the fact that this like wasn't even that like far in the past, like 1975. I know, but both of my parents were like alive for that. They weren't very old, but
Yeah.
like there's definitely a lot of people who remember that who are still alive today.
Yeah, that's like when the story broke. And they were doing experiments as late as like 1973. So that's like 50 years ago. So pretty crazy.
To say the least.
Yeah.
What if
And
something like that is happening right now and we don't know?
yeah, could
That's
be.
true. You'll never
Could
know.
hopefully not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
But yeah. Okay. And so the investigation by Gerald Ford was hindered by the fact that the CIA director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of all MK Ultra files in 1973. So they tried to like
Sketchy.
cover it up. Yeah. And then President Ford eventually signed Executive Order 11905 that made experiments on humans with drugs without consent illegal, which you would think that should have happened sooner.
Not long.
Yeah. Yeah, like that should be pretty obvious, but okay. And so then finally in 1973, the project was shut down. So,
Woohoo.
1973.
yay.
Yeah. It took so long.
Yeah. Okay. And so then there was a lot of sub projects of MK Ultra. It wasn't just like one experiment. There were at least 150 sub projects in total. So I have a couple examples here. So sub projects 4, 15, and 19 were about writing a manual on how magicians' art could be used for deception, which is kind of weird. And then sub-project 8 was just more research on LSD effects. Sub-project 10 was to test the effects of LSD and alcohol on subjects within different personality categories. And sub-project 39 was to test if patients have the same motivations for withholding information by exploiting 142 criminal sexual psychopath inmates.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So a lot of the victims of these experiments were like prostitutes and criminals. So because they thought it would be like easier to get away with it if they do it on these types of people, which is scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, any comments on those?
Why is it called that?
Called what?
MK Ultra.
Oh, I actually don't know.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, why is it called MK Ultra? That's an interesting question. I think it was used to be called like Operation Bluebird or something.
Remember that artichoke? I don't know who came up with
Oh
that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, they have like weird names. You're about to see the next one. Just
Can't wait.
weird.
It really says a lot about the fact that they're like, oh, we'll get away with it if we just do it on prostitutes. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. The Project CIA cryptonym is a combination of the digraph MK, indicating the sponsorship of the technical services staff, and the word Ultra, which formally designated the most secret classification of World War II intelligence. So yeah, it's not very interesting origin story.
Thought it would be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, well,
Okay.
it sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds scary. It's an appropriate name.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into some of the victims. So one of the operations was called Operation Midnight Climax. So I think there's also a movie on this, but you can kind of guess like what it's about. So
I don't
there
want
were
to.
various.
I don't want to be right.
Yeah. So there were various men lured to safe houses by prostitutes, where they were then experimented on with drugged cocktails. So they drugged like their drinks without them knowing. So and there was no consent. They had no idea they were participating in this, and they were monitored behind a one-way glass. They didn't even know like that people were watching them. They
Oh
thought it
my
was just like
God.
a mirror. But yeah.
Ugh.
And so while they were like on the drugs, they were fed subliminal messages telling them to kill or to harm various people so their reactions could be recorded. So yeah.
What?
And so the Operation Midnight Climax program was even expanded, and CIA operatives began dosing people in restaurants, bars, and beaches. So
What?
yeah, so
Wow.
they went from having prostitutes lure men to even just going into public spaces and drugging people.
These are messed up people.
And this is our own government doing this to people. So
Sounds like something from like a sci-fi movie or something.
I
Yeah.
know, like Stranger Things.
Yeah, literally.
Okay, and so
What
then
was the results of it?
like it was unsuccessful. Like basically the men they a lot of the men had like trauma from this, you know, psychological damage.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And so then one of the most notable victims was Frank Olson. So he was a scientist, and so he worked to make biological weapons used by the government. So he said he witnessed the government use the weapons he made for murder. And so that like kind of messed him up. So because he was like making the weapons that the government was using for bad, like malicious reasons.
What was he making them for?
Like like it was, I think it was because this was like during the Cold War, so it was probably like for Russia, you know, the Soviet Union.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so then on November 24th, he told his division chief that he was resigning, and his chief suggested that he head to New York for psychological treatment. And then the day after Thanksgiving, Olson called home and said that he was feeling better, but that was the last day he was alive.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
What happened?
Well, we're
Like, how
about
did
to
he
find
die?
out.
Oh,
I'm just trying to make it suspense.
Okay.
You know.
oh. I was like,
Okay.
wait, we skipped some chapters.
So he was given, well, so okay, so his death, he died from falling out of a window, and his death was ruled,
Defenestration.
sure. His death was ruled a suicide caused by stress. However, what really happened was that he was given a drink that was secretly spiked with LSD, and then they said he jumped out a window, but I'll get to that. And then so and the government never admitted he was drugged at the beginning, but they later did once it was like found out.
They
And-
conveniently forgot to mention that part.
Yeah. And so the thing is though about them saying that he just like jumped out a window because he was on drugs, the window was too small for him to have jumped out himself, so he would have need to be like pushed, and he also suffered a blow to the head right before his death. So
So
the
not a
theory-
suicide.
yeah, so the theory with that is that the CIA ordered him to be assassinated.
Yikes.
Yeah. And so then his family is suing for wrongful death.
Well, I'm glad that I learned what the word defenestration means. I knew it would always come in useful one day.
Yeah, that's when you're pushed out a window, isn't it?
Thrown
So-
out.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
apparently he was.
Yes. So, yeah, this is a very scary situation. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys think he was pushed or he jumped?
They should have found a bigger window so it would have been more believable.
Yeah, they should have. I
If
think it was
Elena
like in his
wasn't-
hotel room or something.
Oh.
If Elena was in charge of this operation, nobody would ever know about it because she's a lot smarter than these people.
I would have got a bigger window.
Exactly.
Yes.
Nobody would have known.
Yes. Okay. And so now we have 3 more victims. So another one is Ken Kesey. He volunteered for experiments while a college student at Stanford. And he encouraged acid tests or LSD fueled parties, and he inspired the widespread use of psychedelics. So he was into this LSD.
He was a hippie.
Yeah, like after participating in these experiments, I guess he liked LSD a lot. I don't know. And he was like, yeah, he was like one of the people who inspired others to use psychedelics in the hippie era.
Wait, so was he part of the experiments and then that's just how he turned out?
Yeah, he volunteered for the experiments.
Oh, so he was one of the few that did provide consent.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then another one is Ted, I don't know how to pronounce this, Kaczynski, I guess. Ted Kaczynski, who you may know him as the Unabomber.
Oh,
So, yeah. While a student at Harvard, he participated in Professor Henry Murray's experiment, which used verbal abuse to observe the effects of stress. So, not one of the more terrible operations, but
still
still kind
terrible.
of bad. Still
So they
pretty
just
bad.
yelled at him, basically.
Yeah, to see stress. And yeah, that was the Unabomber. So some bad people came out of this.
and
and
did
then
he
the-
provide consent for it?
I'm not sure. I think so though.
Or
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't
And
have used him, I guess. 2020 hindsight.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last person I have is James Joseph, aka Whitey Bulger, who was a notorious Boston mob boss who also participated in MK Ultra experiment. So yeah.
what happened with him though?
I do not know. I did
What was
not
his
write
name?
that
It was
down.
kind of dumb, like James Johnson.
Whitey Bulger. Yeah, I don't know. He's a mob boss. I never heard of him. But
Wow.
He's
That's
not
a-
a
I don't know how to
good
spell
mob boss
Whitey.
then.
yeah, I think he just participated in like the LSD test. But yeah.
I can't believe they were so obsessed with LSD that they tried to use it to mind control and do all this horrible, shady stuff
Mm-hmm.
and got away with it for like 20 years.
Yep.
It's so like crazy to think about like what would have happened if like the press wasn't so nosy and they didn't want to know everything. And then
They could have been continuing it.
this could have been
And what if-
happening now.
Yeah. What if we
Yeah.
ended up getting mind controlled?
Oh no. Thanks to
It could be right now.
we have Seymour Hirsch to thank for exposing them.
Oh.
But what if it's still going on and that was just like a cover up to be like, oh, they found out, it's a done.
Oh yeah. What if it's
still
a
going.
cover up
He
for a
was in on
larger
it.
scheme? Oh my god.
The government
Whoa.
is so scary.
Yeah.
Never know.
So after this, do you want to do LSD?
Probably not.
No.
That is the lesson to learn from this.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do LSD.
Don't do LSD, kids. It's
We
not
just recorded
good
a
for
30-minute
you.
podcast for Danny to tell us not to do drugs. Thank you.
Yeah. Or I guess make sure you don't take drinks from strangers.
Yeah, watch your drink.
Especially going into college, watch your drinks, you know?
Or if you're like, I don't know, following a prostitute in the middle of the night.
Don't
Maybe-
do that.
Maybe don't do that. Yeah.
Sorry.
They could,
it's not
they
funny.
could be trying to drug you, you know?
Oh my
I have a
god.
messed up sense of humor. I should not be doing a podcast about crime. But here we
Yeah,
are. And
so
we are all.
the lesson we learned from this is
These are
that
good lessons.
don't do
actually.
drugs. The government is scary. The end.
And no prostitutes.
Thank you for staying with me and listening to my story.
Thank you for educating
This
us.
is your story now?
We all feel safer.
To
She actually like created MK Ultra.
I did.
Yeah, it's your
Oh.
story.
Oh, I am
Whoa.
Alan Dulles.
No, you are MK Ultra.
What the heck?
BuzzFeed
Okay.
You
saw.
rearrange Danny's name, it spells it out.
MK Ultra. Yeah, so now you guys know what MK Ultra is. So if you ever hear anybody talking about it, you ever hear any
No.
references in movies, TV, you're gonna be like, that's MK Ultra.
Okay.
You know?
Well,
If you're ever
thank-
watching Stranger Things.
all right.
Season 4 is coming out this summer, right? Or
I
is it
don't
next
know.
summer? I don't know.
Anyways,
All
so
right.
on to Noah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Danny. That was a very interesting episode, to say the least, and certainly unlike anything we've recorded previously. So next week is going to be our last episode, led by me, about the death of Princess Diana and the theories around her death. So make sure to read about that beforehand in case there's any gaps in my knowledge. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's going to be our last episode. It's been a lot of fun doing this, but we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.